Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. We got some news to talk about in regards to Wisconsin. We have Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers. He will not be seeking re-election. A lot of people will say, well, this is very good. This is good news for said Republicans, that this will be an open seat. In ways, yes, it is good news, but I would say it's mostly good news for Democrats because I'll tell you, Tony Evers is a liability for them. He has proved to be very, very, very incompetent, and he's been had a very unsuccessful second term. And Democrats, I'll just say, they have a lot of options to run, and Tony Evers, it would be the one to lose them the election. Not to mention, Wisconsin does not like voting for a third term for their governor. They have, of course, a option to run for a third time or unlimited times, but Wisconsinites prefer their governors to serve just 2 terms. So obviously, Evers running would likely result to him losing, and that obviously Tony Evers has just come up to the conclusion that that would happen. So I'm not going to come out and say this is amazing news for Republicans. I refuse to say that. Not to mention, Republicans have a low propensity voter problem, and I'm telling you, with the makeup or what we have right now, we're going to have some problems. We just need to have a good candidate. And I think if we get a good candidate in there and running, we can win this governor's seat. You have Tom Tiffany being a huge option. You also have Eric Hovde, who is relatively strong, honestly. He was a candidate in 2012. 2024, he ran a very good campaign, almost lost. But I have to say, a lot of it was due to the Trump vote. But ultimately, he almost won, and relatively, I do think that he could possibly win, but I wouldn't put Tom Tiffany on the said list because Tom Tiffany's a congressman. He's assumed office in 2020. He's been in the ring for like 6 years, and I believe in general that he being just a congressman and being experienced, he is going to probably win. The problem with this is experience matters in Wisconsin. I would go with Eric Hovde. Red Eagle likes Eric Hovde. I like Eric Hovde. But the problem is he is a bank executive. Sure, he was on the ballot in 2024. And people will remember him for that. But the problem is you're going to be probably the underdog running against someone like Sarah Rodriguez, who is the lieutenant governor of the state of Wisconsin, or, of course, running against other potential candidates like Josh Kaul, the Attorney General of Wisconsin, and, of course, other candidates like Doug LaFollette, who I do not see on here. It's probably because he's too old, in my view. But you already have Rodriguez running for this seat. She is the current lieutenant governor of Wisconsin. And I don't feel much appeal for her. So I do imagine that Tony Evers would probably end up winning pretty easily if he were to run. Like Tom Tiffany would win pretty easily if he were to run against Rodriguez. But ultimately, you have Rodriguez versus, once again, and I do believe we're going to get some candidates running in there. You got Josh Schumann. Scott Walker is hinting a run. It could be possible he could possibly win things. He is a popular name recognition. He is more establishment, yes. But I do think overall he has the ability to win, or he has the ability to lose. He's also the former governor. We're going to kind of have to see how that turns out. It's a midterm year, but I would still push Tom Tiffany. I mean, Scott Walker, he had his 8 years. Let's be honest. He had more than 8 years. You can't call it 2012. It was a recall election. It was not in the plan. But Scott Walker's been in politics for a very, very long time. He's had a successful career despite being kicked out of office. But he gave a interesting post on X hinting on a run, and that's why a lot of people are speculating him to be the runner. But right now, you got a very boring list, right, for both Republicans and Democrats. I mean, Democrats aren't getting really excited with their pick. I mean, unless the really liberal ones probably are. Sarah Rodriguez, who's a female, and unless you just want to play gender games with us and just support Rodriguez because she's a girl, then go ahead, do it because she's a female. Okay, all right, first Wisconsin female governor, whatever. But then again, we don't know if Sarah Rodriguez has the ability to win as a Democrat because she never ran an at-large race before. Okay? Yeah, she was the Democratic nominee for lieutenant governor. Yeah, she ran under Evers, though. Evers was the front of the ticket. People are mainly coming out to vote for him. But ultimately, we're going to see how she would do if she's probably the nominee. But then, yeah, you got to beware of people like Josh Kaul, who is a strong candidate overall. He ran in 2018. He, against old Brad Schimmel, failed Supreme Court election candidate. And he did pretty well, actually, defeating Brad Schimmel in a upset. It said that Schimmel was actually going to win the election. Apparently, I would imagine that the Constitution Party, Terry Larson, was taking votes from Schimmel. So that would kind of be my guess. But then again, in recent elections, so you have Josh Kaul defeating Eric Toney in the 2022 election. And this is pretty much a similar map, kind of similar, yeah. I mean, you saw some changes. Door County went blue. But the idea is he could run for a third term or he's going to run for governor. But people seem to think he is easy. But then again, he has appeal to a lot of Wisconsinites. Got a state senator running. And that's pretty much it. Other options, other candidates you could have. Well, I was thinking about the Wisconsin treasurer. The Wisconsin state treasurer could possibly run. Why? Because he is in office right now. He's in a major office. But thinking about it, he is, of course, holding on to a very important seat, which I don't know. He might want to keep that seat. So yes, John Lieber, he is the said congressman of he is of course the Wisconsin state treasurer, and he barely won, becoming the next treasurer. He might run for re-election, but he has not stated he would do so. Orlando Owens, who ran for the seat as 2022, he said has filed to run for the seat again. So Orlando Owens is already throwing the coin toss to run against in the primary, if preparing for John Lieber to run for the governor. But I mean, he's qualified. He's a treasurer overall. People like his record as treasurer. He has the name recognition to do it. And I'm just trying to think, is there any names? Yes, we got to be worried about Doug LaFollette, but the problem with Doug LaFollette is Doug LaFollette's older, okay? And the Secretary of State, and he has a very popular name. Yeah, he's older, and he's 85. Okay, yeah, he's not going to run. And after all, he probably will retire. But Doug LaFollette is actually the I want to believe he is the grandson of the Fighting Bob, Robert LaFollette, the failed 1924 presidential election candidate for the Progressive Party. Know your presidential elections. But yes, that is his grandfather, and old Robert. But his grandson, Doug LaFollette, 85, you're having to La Follette dynasty falling apart. I mean, it's not falling apart, but La Follette dynasty used to be Republican. I want to believe it was his father, who was, who was the parents? Born early life. Yeah, he was a part of the La Follette family. But I want to believe, yeah, he has a relative. Yes, his great uncle, that's his great uncle, pardon me. That's his great uncle, not his grandfather. But still, great uncle, it's a some relative. But I want to believe his relative, it may have been his uncle or his father, Robert La Follette Jr. He was a Republican U.S. Senator, and he was a rhino, specifically. I mean, yeah, he ran under the Progressive Party, but he was relatively strong Republican. But he might be his father. I don't know. You might have to go and meet La Follette. Actually, hang on. Robert M. La Follette, that's his parents. His children, that's Bronson La Follette. And Bronson La Follette might be... Okay, yes. And, okay, so Bronson La Follette is the third cousin of Doug La Follette. Okay, so it's not his father. But Robert M. La Follette Jr., yeah, he took his own life from a firearm in the said 60s, in the 50s. Yep, he took his own life via firearm. So that is a major tragedy that took place in the La Follette dynasty. But ultimately, yes, it's kind of interesting how the La Follette dynasty has always been left-wing, but it went from Republicans, which tend to be more left-wing back then, to more Democratic. And, of course, doesn't surprise me that he's a radical lunatic. But don't expect him to run for the seat. He's too old. He's probably going to retire. And I would not hope, and I would not be concerned of him running again, okay? Potential, Sarah Godleski is the incumbent. Okay, actually, hang on. He may have died already. Did he die? No. Oh, he retired. Never mind. He retired. He retired. He resigned. But that was a poor decision because you just came up with so much money just to resign. It's just stupid. Okay? So all that jazz about La Follette, just forget about it. He's not running. For sure not running. If he resigned due to this, that's just absolutely not going to happen. But Republicans have lots of choices. I know there's not many choices out there, but you got the treasurer, and here you got... Who else? Treasurer. That's really all we got. Attorney General Call is an option for Democrats. But you got, of course, Eric Hovde. I do not want Tim Michels. Tim Michels failed. Period. He is... Yeah, and he hasn't... He's very slow. I mean, Tim Michels... I mean, I can get and understand why someone would be excited for him to run, and obviously people were predicting him to win. I can understand why they were counting on that to happen, because Tim Michels, of course, let's remember, he ran in 2004, and he did quite well in the context that he was running against Ruth Feingold, who I guess Ruth Feingold is pretty weak and relative of going against former opponents, despite Tim Michels handing off to Russ Feingold's biggest victory in his career. But yeah, let's be honest. I mean, he didn't do bad. He did very good in the suburb areas. Well, that's probably, if you have the context, like Wabasha, the WOW counties. But then again, the WOW counties have gotten more liberal lately, unfortunately. And yeah, I don't want Michels to run. No, and he was probably going to lose re-election. He is renomination, mainly because he threw the ring into the bin 2 times and blundered it. He's just not meant to win in Wisconsin. He's had his chance. Not many people get the nomination, and he's got it twice. I think he had his chance. He can run for a Congress seat. I'd be willing to support him with that and run again. But it doesn't help that he's just once again he is just another businessman, and that's the thing. That does not help that we run these businessmen, guys, as a Republican Party, because the problem with that is a lot of people are skeptical with businessmen because they are known for getting their recognition. And once again, they want a handout. They want their money. They want to get name recognition and make their business known. And that's the problem. We've seen so many of these people. I like Eric Hovde, and I have no problems with Eric Hovde. He's a good guy. He's the rare one that actually cared about winning. But it's people like Tim Michaels, who is the co-owner of the Michaels Corporation. It's people like him. It's like, okay, you do little as you like. He went and took a 2-week vacation in October. Are you kidding me? A 2-week vacation in October. You have a race to run, sir, and you're taking a vacation? So yeah, it's like people like that, and then he goes and he cares about that background of being a CEO for Michaels. It's about sharing the experience, sharing the name of the store, the name of the business. So we got to be very skeptical because we love electing and nominating these people, these Republicans, especially in the Midwest for some reason, that are businessmen. And I'm saying no more of that. No more of that, because really they're a liability. They really just run to get their name in the paper, name in the headlines, in their business in the headlines, so people can check it out. His supporters can check it out and all that stuff. And he loses. Oh, so what? Business benefited from it. So the part is, it's not about winning for them. It's about the business. So we can't trust them. It's just very hard. And I would be open to Eric Hovde because he was successful and he actually proved, made an effort. But ultimately, we're going to have to see how, I can't trust Tim Michaels again. He's had his run. He has had his run 2 times, and I am very skeptical with him running again, if that's going to be the case. So we're going to go ahead and kind of submit a final prediction as of right now. No real Republican has thrown their ring into the bin. You got a Democrat who has name recognition. So if it were going to be a Rodriguez versus a Schumann race, which would be interesting map, it's probably going to look very similar to... I mean, he comes from Washington County. The people will remind me he's a Washington County executive. Well, yeah, I mean, you better do well in Washington County. I mean, in the Loudoun County specifically, then again, you had, what's his name? Brad Schimmel. He's from Waukesha County, and being Waukesha County doesn't matter. It's the 3rd most populous county in the state of Wisconsin. So obviously, we have a pattern being formed. I'm looking at Vernon County. Vernon County's been relatively Democratic. Well, it might be Republican this time around, or maybe we'll kind of put it up to grabs. But let's just say it's going to be Democratic as of right now. Let's go ahead and call the safe states, safe counties. So, yeah, you got Vernon. You might want to give Vernon away. I don't know. I don't think we got county election here. Oh, yes, we do. I want to see how margin-wise Vernon supported. It was kind of, margin's 1.42, and that has to do mainly with the turnout. So I'm having a hard time seeing this turn, but then again, I do not think it's going to look, you might have Columbia County go mainly Republican. But then again, where does, because then again, you got to expect the name recognition from Miss Rodriguez. She might come from an area that is relatively popular where her name sticks. Like her district's the 13th district. Okay, that is specifically, and that doesn't surprise me, in the Milwaukee area. Mainly in Waukesha County. That's going to be a problem. She's going to mainly incentivize voters to vote for her, especially in that area. So it doesn't matter if you run, what's his name. So there's going to be a lot of people in Waukesha County that's going to feel like, oh, we're going to go vote for Rodriguez. She's from the area. She's from our county. Good name recognition. So be wary about that. I think it'd be very dumb if we didn't. I would go ahead and call Brown County. Well, Brown County. I would think Brown County. Let's see how much Brown County voted for. Brown, 4%. I would say in the race, what it's looking like right now, you might want to give this county to Rodriguez. That is specifically Crawford County. Well, actually, no, Crawford is right here. 0.81. We might want to give Crawford to, just because it's been more Republican lately. I can't say the same for Vernon, but they might surprise us. Well, I'm going to make the difficult decision. This is probably going to be my prediction. It's a little lopsided, but you got, of course, Vernon County going to Shulman. Made that decision. It's just going, it's been relative, mainly because people will say it's not for sure just because of low propensity vote going for Dems. It's going to be a for sure hold for Democrats, because we know that Ron Johnson, he was lucky to hold Vernon County, but the problem is, how much did he hold Vernon County? Because it might be the low name recognition that just sold Vernon away. 5.65%. Oh, you might have a little bit, but also Brown County, 9%. Okay. Winnebago. So it's interesting stuff there. But I would imagine it's gonna look something close to something like this. That's my gut feeling. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.